Hey guys, some of you requested a demo of the DoppelRausch, which is very fair. I'm going to try to do that for you. So I've got my Carvin V3 here. I've got a mic up close and I got a mic on the other side of the room. I'm going to try to blend them together and get a little bit of a room sound for you. Um, Clean channel. Just Fuzzes generally sound better through clean channels to me. I've got my VGW Spirit here that I built. I've got DiMarzio pickups. This is a Gravity Storm and a Illuminator or a Liquefier, maybe. John Petrucci model. Anyway, I've got push coil tap on each of them. I'll try to get you a good range of tones. I just want to talk about for a second what the basis of this pedal is. I have always really loved, um, most notably, Jimi Hendrix early octave fuzz sounds. That first pedal was a Tycho Brahe Octavia. Um, the Roger Mayer Octavia that came a little bit later no longer used an audio transformer to make the octave happen. I personally like the audio transformer version, as do a lot of people. Um, One of the issues that I find in a lot of the pedals that I have tried over the years who try to do that octave sound is um, I just don't feel like they're wide enough of a range of tones. And oftentimes the octave is either too strong or not strong enough. Um, so that's one thing. I just really like that absolutely like almost bit crushing type of sound. Um, and yeah, so the essentially this pedal, it's called a DoppelRausch because it's essentially two circuits that have been married together, and I've modified each of them to sound how I want them to sound. Now, I am not a fan of germanium transistors. I know a lot of people are all about the mojo, and that's great. But germanium is just not a stable element, and depending on where and when you're playing, that pedal's going to sound different, and you're going to constantly be tweaking it. If it's a pedal that you rely on all the time to get a specific sound and you want that sound, germanium is not where you go for that, in my opinion, anyway. And I've been playing guitar for 36-ish years. Um, so the uh, Tycho, essentially Tycho side itself, um, I've got all silicon, modern silicon transistors. The clipping that is happening on BAT41s. They are a silicon-based Schottky diode that behave really similarly to a 1N34. More similar forward voltage than, say, a 1N4148 would have. I just really dig them in applications where I am replacing a germanium transistor with something that's not germanium. They give a really similar character, but the knee is just a little bit harder, which I personally like. I find germanium to be sort of muddy and not as articulate in nearly every pedal I've ever tried with it. Now, your mileage may vary. Maybe you disagree with me. That's fine. I don't care. The other side, oh, before I move on. So what I've done with this is I actually have an octave defeat switch, which takes one of the clipping diodes out and sort of sends that signal around it. And it effectively kills a lot of the octave that's happening in the signal and smooths it out. So what you're really getting is mostly the fuzz sort of effect, the fuzz boost in that. So if you don't want octave, but you want a crushingly giant fuzz, you can just turn that switch off. Now, that is going into a very simple single transistor boost. Now, this boost can get a little fuzzy. I've built some of these boosts by themselves because it can just be a good standalone boost. But if you hit it really hard with a fuzz and you really push the front end, you can push it itself into a pretty fuzzy territory. And when I was initially messing around with an Octavia clone that I had built, I put it into one of these pedals, and the sounds I got out of it just blew my mind. And I thought, I've got to turn this into something. So that's when the DoppelRausch was essentially born. Now, I've made 4 or 5 of these by hand that now belong to other people out in the world. I've actually never kept one for myself, even though I love it. But the idea is essentially there are a really wide range of things you can do. Because there is a volume on the first sort of half and volume on the second half, you can decide what the output of the first half is going to be. You can bring it way down and not saturate the second half, and then have the second half push the front end of your amplifier. Or you can have the first side absolutely crushing the second side, and then use the post as sort of an attenuator for that signal, depending on how hard you want to hit the front end of your amplifier. So you can gain match if you want to. You can push if you want to. There's a lot of different range there of things that you can do. I've named those pre and post because I feel like it makes the most sense. So your pre is going to be the volume that's coming out of the first Tycho side, and the post is going to be your output from there. So I'm going to try to give you an overall range of tones. Now, you might find different sounds in this thing, but I'm going to give you sort of I'm going to start off with just light fuzz, bring in more fuzz. I have the octave defeat on right now. I also have on the second side a bass cut. So if you want a really thin, raspy thing, you can do that too. This pedal's not just a one-trick pony. It can do so many things. So I'm just going to get right into it. I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to play. I'll try to sort of let you know what I'm doing as I go here. So this is just my clean tone. I'm on the bridge pickup right now. And not that it matters, but I'm tuned to E flat. Bass cut. So there's some of the sort of range of fuzz. It definitely blooms a lot after the note. So you do get articulation, but it definitely sort of compresses at the front end when you've got it in that mode. You can bring a little bit of it back by bringing your pre down. Now, right now, the very last bit that you heard, I have the fuzz almost all the way to the off position, almost all the way down. And you can see you still get quite a bit of fuzz in that signal. But let's turn the octave on now. And I'm going to start sort of the Velcro rippingly, bit crushingly type thing. With my volume backed off a whole bunch. And then I'm just going to kind of rip into it a little bit. I'll start out with a little bit less fuzz, add a little bit more fuzz in. I don't want to stop and talk a whole bunch because I don't think you guys want to hear me talk a whole bunch. You just want to hear what the pedal sounds like. So I'm just going to mess with it a little bit and show you some tones. end there, I had my Comp 66 and my Joyo equalizer going into the input. What's cool is you can kill a little bit of bass before you get in there. There's all sorts of ways you can use this. You can throw a drive in front of it. You can throw a drive after it. Obviously, if you compress a little bit on the way in, it's going to change how it reacts. There's all sorts of stuff you can do. You'll notice that it does get a little bit messy when you absolutely crank it and you're playing like full down-tuned chords. Maybe you like that, you know. It clears up quite a bit when you turn the octave back on. And again, I definitely recommend using this into a clean channel. Otherwise, you're just going to get a bunch of mud, typically. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a bunch of tones. If you really dig this thing, let me know. My first run of PCBs, I got 5 of them. Hold on, I'm going to stop my recording. I got 5 of them, and I can't wait to start getting them out to people so you guys can play with them and have fun.